Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. In a statement before the Shura Council, the Minister of Transport and Communications announces completion of overland transportation draft law in the Sultanate and confirms that a study to develop public transport in the Governorate of Muscat is conducted. The Sultanate's efforts in anti-corruption and acquainting officials with laws and legislations are at the center of a seminar by the Tender Board. Telecommunication Regulatory Authority launches an advanced e-system to manage frequency spectrums in the Sultanate. And Future Perspective Seminar on Food and Nutrition Sciences is held in North Sharqiyya. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Ftaisi, Minister of Transport and Communications, presented his statement before the Shura Council, in which it tackled transport, roads, ports, maritime, civil aviation, and communication. The statement indicated that the ministry has already finished reviewing the final draft for land transport law to organize land regulations to provide the best services in transporting passengers and goods for the goal and requirements of economic development. The minister said that there is a study to develop public transport in the Governorate of Muscat. He also said that the allocations of the current 5-year plan for roads and land transport reach 3 billion Omani Riyals, adding that the number of agreements signed until February 2014 for asphalting and rehabilitation of roads in various governorates reach more than 2.48 billion Omani Riyals for 73 projects. His Excellency indicated that the ministry has completed the study to establish permanent stations to weigh trucks on the main and service roads to control the payload. On ports and maritime affairs, the statement discussed operative results of ports in Salalah, Suhar, Khasab and Shanas, as well as docks in Shanna and Hilaniyat. On civil aviation affairs, the statement reviewed the general features of civil aviation sector within the new expansion. The minister said the plan included setting up necessary procedures to early operating domestic airports. On communication, the statement pointed out there is a gap in spread of communication services between rural, urban and remote areas in the Sultanate, in addition to the increase of demand for broadband broad range due to spread of smartphones, softwares and applications dependent on the internet. Improving bilateral relations between the Sultanate and the United Kingdom and means of enhancing them in various spheres were at the focus of a meeting between His Excellency Sayyid Khalid bin Hilal al-Busaidi, Minister of Diwan of Royal Court, and His Excellency Jamie Nicholas Bowden, Ambassador of the United Kingdom accredited to the Sultanate. They also discussed matters of mutual concern for benefits and interests of peoples of both countries. Human rights and scholars in Oman were the most prominent work papers discussed during the third day of a symposium of jurisprudence science development, which continues its works in Muscat. Today's session discussed a host of issues such as human beings and international charters, Islamic jurisprudence, social solidarity and its systems in Sharia policy, and joint human being jurisprudence with Muslim scholars, particularly Omanis. The general provisions of the United Nations Agreement for Combating Corruption were the core of discussion of the lecture organized by the Tender Board for its employees. It included a number of other aspects which reviewed Sultanate's efforts in this regard. It also focused on enlightening employees of laws and legislations issued by the Sultanate and which the employees may refer to. It was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Rashid bin Asaf al-Haraibi, Chairman of the Tender Board. The lecture came within the Tender Board's keenness to get its employees acquainted with huge steps by the Sultanate in combating corruption. And still to come in our news bulletin. Farmers in the wilaya of Ibri are busy in harvesting the wheat crop. Ayman bin Ahmed Al Hosni, Director General of Muscat International Airport, said that the Oman Airport Management Company is ready to run the new airports in Ras Al Had, Suhar, and Duqm in the Sultanate through qualifying and training necessary national cadres. He added that they were working to prepare the cadres for the past 2 years. He further stated that there is a total Omani cadre running the Ga'alouni Airport, through which Oman Air flies 3 flights daily. Works of the Omani-Iranian Joint Military Friendship Committee and ways of its improvements to serve armed forces of both countries were discussed by Lieutenant General Ahmed bin Harith al-Nabhani, Chief of Staff of the Sultan's Armed Forces, when he received a delegation of Omani-Iranian Joint Military Friendship Committee led by Brigadier General Mustafa Salam, Assistant to the General Chief of Staff of Iranian Armed Forces for Operation Affairs, who is currently on a visit to the Sultanate to attend meetings of the committee. To acquaint with Omani historical civilizational epochs and its international relations through the elapse of history, His Excellency Major General Sheikh Ali bin Rashid Al Khalifa, Commander of the Royal Armors of the Kingdom of Bahrain, visited Sultan's Armed Forces Museum. He saw manuscripts, historical miniatures, and parts of Omani architecture embodied in Beit al-Falaj Fort. He also listened to a briefing on development of Sultan's armed forces during the glorious reign of His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. Within the framework of e-government, performance plan and freed frequency spectrum to contribute in communications penetration all over the Sultanate, the Telecommunication Regulatory Authority launched advanced electronic systems to manage frequency spectrum in the Sultanate and work on issuing radio licenses electronically. A national plan approved by the authority amounted to 50 million Omani riyals in order to develop communications sector in all governorates of the Sultanate, in addition to the agreement with both communication operators in the Sultanate to establish more than 200 new stations covering 250 villages in all governorates of the Sultanate. New development strategies and future planning visions were at the center of discussions of the first social voluntary initiative seminar, Beautiful Buraimi, organized by the Municipal Council in the Governorate of Buraimi. It was presided over by His Excellency Sultan bin Salim Al-Habsi, Secretary General of the Supreme Council for Planning. The 2-day seminar will focus on various topics, namely architecture, planning, roads, services, general health, and others. It also highlighted social initiatives represented in government and local institutions, private sector, and the Municipal Council, which will contribute in the development of the governorates. Food Science and Nutrition Future Perspectives, a seminar held in Sharqiya University in the Wilaya of Ibra, discussed a number of topics on food safety and science, as well as its relation to health. The presented work papers also focus on technology applications in the field of nutrition and food poisoning, while highlighting its types and ways of prevention. The seminar came within the vision of the university to prepare qualified students and to exchange knowledge with experts in this field. It came with the recommendations that will serve those working in the food safety and nutrition field, namely students and officials in government bodies concerned, while enhancing the university's role in scientific field. Under the theme Social Contact, activities of Social Responsibility Forum started at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Salalah in the Governorate of Dhofar. It was presided over by His Excellency Sayyid Mohammed bin Sultan al-Busaidi, Minister of State and Governor of Dhofar. It aimed to activate private institutions' role so as to contribute in the community development. During the forum, 3 agreements were signed relating to support and finance of Social Security's families, the elders, as well as the handicapped. A number of school students of the governorate were honored during the activities. The forum called on companies and institutions to contribute in social responsibility programs through helping members of the society. The awareness of importance of electricity energy rationalization and to get acquainted with e-counters were highlighted aims of the 5th campaign of the Rural Areas Electricity Company, which was held in the Governorate of Musandam. The inauguration ceremony was presided over by Sheikh Hamad bin Saeed al-Ma'mari, Deputy Wali of Khasab. It concluded a number of guidance programs which clarified the right method in dealing with electricity, in addition to the organizing of special events in the Wilaya's schools in order to involve student segments. From the interests of the Sultanate to include health services in all wilayas and governorates, Farq Health Center was opened in the wilaya of Nizwa in the governorate of Al-Dakhiliya. It will contribute in providing primary health services care for Farq village citizens and neighboring areas. The center included a number of clinics and sections which provide preventive and therapeutic health services, in addition to a focus on chronic disease care. Farmers in the wilayas of the Governorate of Dhahira started wheat harvesting. The farmers use traditional and modern ways in wheat production, where the planted areas reach 500 hectares. Harvest Day, held in the wilaya of Ibri, included a number of activities, namely a practical performance for wheat harvest, as well as showcasing the kinds of wheat, such as the Omani traditional wheat and the improved kind of wheat distinguished by the high productivity. The accompanying Rural Women exhibition came to showcase the significance of this crop, as it is used in various Omani dishes and is very good for the health. And now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the Sultanate, with chances of fog over parts of the governorates of Wusta and Dhufar. Winds will be northerly to northwesterly, light to moderate. Seas along the coast will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1 meter. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. In a statement before the Shura Council, the Minister of Transport and Communications announces the completion of overland transportation draft law in the Sultanate and confirms that a study to develop public transport in the Governorate of Muscat is conducted. The Sultanate's efforts in anti-corruption and acquainting officials with laws and legislations are at the center of a seminar by the Tender Board. Telecommunications Regulatory Authority launches an advanced e-system to manage frequency spectrum in the Sultanate. And Future Perspective Seminar on Food and Nutrition Sciences is held in North Sharqiyya. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, good night.